yeah. Today's the perfect day for my new grilling apron. You wear an apron like this, and people know you have a PhD in BBQ.
Duh. I don't see the grill in here, Professor.
You know, despite what this title may seem to imply, I wouldn't necessarily call this episode much of a bummer. Although, it's certainly one of the most generic titles in the entire series. Generally speaking, this title could apply to just about anything. It's not quite as bad as, say, Rainy Day, but it's still not great. Hey, at least it's not replacing a word with a name that doesn't flow well at all. Nah, that's next episode. Summer Bummer itself is relatively fine, all things considered. I mean, compared to the rest of the season so far, it's pretty passable, so I don't have too many major gripes here. Aside from a few things, of course. It's the beach episode, where the professor takes the girls to the beach to enjoy a peaceful day of R&R. Of course, it doesn't really work out that way, so let's dive right into it. Oh, and it's worth noting that Buttercup doesn't have her cowlick in this title card either. Guess Claudette wasn't the only case of this after all. Our story begins, not with the Powerpuff Girls, but with a parody of the Adventures of Tintin of all things.
The villainous Lavage! I should have known!
You will not find the clue here, for it is in there.
Yeah, turns out this is just a story Blossom is reading in her book, which is interesting because typically episodes tend to go for the more obvious, oh, the character was dreaming trope, so I can appreciate the Tintin reference even though I'm not really a fan of it because, well, it's not obnoxious about it. It's cool, it's there, no big deal. There's no attention brought to it or anything like that, unlike Buttercup, who manages to convince a truck driver to honk his horn really loud while Bubbles buries herself in all of her stuffed animals. This presents us with the main conflict of the episode, that being that the girls are constantly getting caught up in each other's space, causing them to argue and bicker with each other because none of them can do their own thing without the others getting in the way. This car scene serves as a good setup and introductory moment for the future disagreements that are set to come. It is then that the girls arrive at Townsville. Whoa, hang on, get back here. I want to slow down and zoom in on that billboard for a sec. Townsville State Beach? So Townsville's a state now? And please do not jump the shark.
Oh, the irony! It's too much!
I, however, am not being ironic at all when I say that this quick 2-second shot of the girls getting out of the car and Bubbles' stuffed animals falling all on top of them is what emphasizes the idea of the girls getting on each other's nerves really well. Like, there's more going on than just when the episode makes the girls' conflict the focus of attention. Sure, the episode features the girls bickering during the opening scene, but these added moments where the girls aren't in the spotlight and continue to be at each other's throats anyways really makes the constant struggling seem tense between them. Even the smallest actions get on their nerves, and they continue to be passive-aggressive about it anyways. I do think that the professor's apron is actually a clever science joke too. It's basically a reference to those chemistry joke shirts that spell out things like bacon or something using elements on the periodic table. Although, turns out that despite his excitement, the professor forgot the grill because, oh, that professor being silly again. And that's what his entire role in the episode gets reduced to. Professor returns home to get something, obtains it, goes back to the beach, realizes he forgot something else, lather, rinse, repeat to the very end. Alright, so the girls all go off in separate directions with the hopes of getting to do what they've been looking forward to. Bubbles collects shells, Blossom reads her book, and Buttercup builds a fort. Or at least, that's what they try to do because in actuality, Blossom decides to place her blanket right over Bubbles despite the fact that she could probably see her in plain sight that she was there first. Buttercup also happened to build her fort mega cool in this exact area too. So just like we saw in the car, the girls are once again at each other's throats about getting up in their personal space.
Find a different spot! Ooh, so pretty. Wait! Bubbles! There's a long berry!
This causes Blossom to draw a line in the sand, literally, and the three decide to go their separate ways when the episode suddenly decides to cut to another shot of the beachgoers having fun in the sun, with Barry out there in the ocean chilling on his inner tube soaking up some rays. Anyways, yes, some sharks swim from the water through the sand and end up taking over the beach from everyone else who's enjoying it because that's just what douchey frat bros do. Blossom ends up asking the mayor for help, but he says there's nothing he can do, so instead he introduces us to the beach mayor to help solve the problem.
I do something, but it's out of my jurisdiction, so I will leave it to the beach mayor. Sorry, dudes. Nothing I can do.
Then why are you here?
Alright, so we essentially have this new character come in only to say that there's nothing he can do. This character serves no narrative purpose that the original mayor couldn't have done himself. At the very least, the mayor could have ripped his shirt off and become super buff and tan or something underneath. The only thing this beach mayor does is introduce who the bro sharks are in the most unnecessary way possible.
The beach has been taken over by bro sharks.
Bro sharks?
Bro sharks. Bro sharks. Bro sharks.
Yeah, I get it.
Can we talk about what's going on with their anatomy here? Okay, so they have gills, but they breathe air. Like, this isn't Bull from My Gym Partner's a Monkey where he has a water-breathing device, so like, are they just naturally that gifted that they're capable of breathing on land and sea? Like, damn, no wonder they act like such jerks. They have a distinct biological advantage far beyond all other sharks and mammals. Honestly though, I hate these characters because of their personalities, behaviors, and dialogue, but they also seem like they were made to be this obnoxious on purpose so that we do hate them. I guess it's technically successful in that regard. I mean, unless these were made for the purposes of comedy, but I guess that's open to individual interpretation, isn't it?
So I'm like on the wave, right? And I just like no. You know? I gripped it and ripped it.
What does this even mean?
Hey, get back on that towel.
Okay, enough Jabberjaw.
Is this a possible reference to Jabberjaw, or is it just a pure coincidence? I wonder. I mean, they referenced Top Cat in the last episode, so I suppose it's possible. Well, the girls decide to challenge the Bro Sharks and prepare themselves for a good old-fashioned superhero, supervillain, super fight. But the beach mayor comes in and tells us that instead of getting to see these violent 5-year-olds beat the shit out of these douchebag sharks, they have to settle the dispute through a game of volleyball.
You're joking, right?
It's no joke. See you on the court. Woo-hoo! You gotta go. Yeah.
Why? I just find that stupid. Like, just straight up stupid. I'm sorry, I could actually put together an argumentative reasoning as to what. No, it's just stupid. I mean, number 57 makes about as much sense as Louisiana having a law that sentences a person to 10 years in prison for the theft of an alligator. But I digress. So now it's volleyball time and Jesus Christ, Bubbles is fucking dead. Next, we get a montage of the girls constantly getting in each other's way, as was established earlier, causing the Bro Sharks to score a ton of points right from the get-go. Blossom tells her sisters that their strategy isn't working and that they need to start cooperating more, so that's just what they do, and lo and behold, they start coming back and scoring points because of their teamwork as if it was nothing. One thing that's always bothered me, and this isn't just true for the show, it actually applies to a lot of things, about sport events like this in the media is when one team gets ridiculously far ahead and ultra close to winning, but then the other team just makes this incredibly unrealistic comeback that just isn't believable. What suddenly makes the other team completely incapable of scoring one measly point? Even with the girls working together, the Bro Sharks are still talented volleyball players themselves. Moments like this would have far more, impact and suspense if the other team didn't get unrealistically far ahead, because the odds of the other team coming back from a deficit as large as this is minuscule at best. Why not have the Bro Sharks get to like 10 points or something, and then have the girls gradually catch up until they're tied at 15. That's far more tense and interesting in my opinion, because there's an actual balance between the two sides.
Come on, dudettes, pull it together. One more point and the Bro Sharks will own this radical beach.
Also, I don't think anyone did their homework here, because beach volleyball is scored to 21 points in the first few sets and then 15 in the final one, so I have no idea where the final score of 20 came from, but that's factually incorrect. During this match, the professor sees a giant explosion in the distance at the beach, and instead of showing the concern for his daughters like any reasonable parent would, he just says, "Oh, I forgot the lighter fluid," like the careless asshole that he is. Moving on. The girls work together and come back, they tie the game, and whoever scores the next point wins the match. Even though, you know, the rules of volleyball also dictate that you have to win by 2, so this isn't actually the game point at all, but again, the show did not bother to look up the accuracy of how the sport of volleyball is played. I'm just saying that if Beach Mayor here is going to rob us of an actual fight and enforce the girls and the Sharks to play volleyball by law instead, I expect him to follow the rules of the game. I'm not sure why the Bro Sharks didn't do this earlier when they realized the girls were catching up, or since the very beginning for that matter, but one of the Bro Sharks pretends to injure himself so that they can call in a substitute in the form of this giant kraken named Stanley, who seems impossible to beat. But of course, the girls end up beating him anyways despite the odds by using their aura powers together to form this giant crab thing and take down Stanley and the Bro Sharks. Now that I say that out loud, it kinda sounds like an old band name. Stanley and the Bro Sharks. I could see it. So yes, the day is saved, the girls get the beach back, and they all celebrate against their will because it's apparently the law that all resolved disputes must end in a party, or else. So the girls are forced to party, but they can't even play a legitimate beach volleyball game? Okay. So overall, I appreciate the episode's establishment of the conflict and the way it builds up to the volleyball game with the girls constantly bickering until that point. The idea that sharing and cooperating will lead to happiness and success is a pretty basic lesson to go off of, but it gets the job done. Although, Blossom already learned not to be selfish in both Super Sweet 6 and A Star is Blossom, so it just kind of feels a little redundant at this point. I mean, yes, technically there's more to these lessons than just don't be selfish, but the same general principle is there. The episode's just more of the same. I think it's cool that we got to see the girls combine their lantern powers for the first time in the series at this point, but it's pretty lame that they wasted on a volleyball game and not an actual, you know, fight. I think it would have been really cool to see the girls fight these muscular shark dudes, and then when they get the upper hand, the Sharks could call in Stanley as like their backup support. Seriously, just take away the volleyball game, keep the structure the same, and give us an actual fight, and this could have been a really good conflict. The setup is already there and everything, just throw in some violence, remove the volleyball, and that's all it needs. Oh, but of course Cartoon Network thinks that's too much for kids to handle these days, right? It's not like they see more violent content on the internet anyways, right? My point is, this could have been awesome if the fighting was there. The episode is good, but it could have been better. On the bright side, at least I can say there's no bathroom humor. That's about all I've got though.